Thank you for your curiosity, and welcome back to the goddamn pod. We're talking about UFC 305, which goes live tomorrow in Perth Amboy, Western Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Looking forward to this card. So we're gonna make our quick predictions for this special episode. This is not a state of the pod episode or fight fans or any of those things. We're just making our predictions on the fights that are coming up, and talking that shit because we enjoy that kind of stuff here. But let's start at the prelims. We're gonna start with the prelims. Casey O'Neill, Teresa Bleda. Looks like that fight got canceled. So the first fight on the card is going to be Jack Jenkins, Herbert Burns. Jack Jenkins, all around, super well-rounded fighter. I mean, phenomenal fucking striking. If you haven't seen his fights, his leg kicks are lethal. His stand-up is beautiful. Herbert Burns coming off 2 losses. He had a 2-year layoff from 2022 to 2024. Lost his last fight in 2022 and 2024 most recently. Very close fight. Lost in round 2. But, I think that was just him shaking off the rust. I am extremely biased towards the Killcliff fighters, and I'm not a journalist, so I don't have to be like, oh, I have no biases. I do. Killcliff is the team that we fuck with heavy. So with that, I'm going to go with Herbert Burns in this fight. I say he gets a submission late in round 2, early round 3. By the way, that doesn't mean that it's an easy fight. It's not like he's going to walk down, Jack Jenkins, and it's going to be an easy fight. What I think is his skills are so perfect that he can take care of that and make it look easy, but it's not. This is absolutely a pick'em fight. It's a 50-50. Next fight, Casey O'Neill versus replacement Luana Santos. Santos, great jiu-jitsu, phenomenal ground game. Casey O'Neill, good stand-up, pretty good overall, decent on the ground as well. I'm going to say Casey O'Neill is going to take this one only because I think with the late replacement, it may or may not hurt Luana Santos. Sometimes you see people come off late replacement and they feel way better in the fight. But really, Luana Santos doesn't lose anything by stepping up. She hasn't competed in a while. And I believe she is the shorter. No, they're about the same height. But she has a deficit by 2 inches in reach. So that's going to make a big difference in this fight. And we'll see where this goes. But I'm going to go with Casey O'Neill. That's my pick for this fight. And then we've got Joshua Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Don't really know much about Culibao. Unfortunately, I'm not going to pretend like I know who the hell this kid is. He looks like an absolute terror of a human being, but he's actually Australian. I thought he was Brazilian by the name. He lost in his last fight, Tuivasa versus Tibura, which was a UFC Fight Night card. He lost a decision to Danny Silva. That's actually a really good fight. So this is only his second fight, I believe, of 2024. Yeah, he competed in March of this year. So he had an active year. Lost to Lauren Murphy, but he beat Melzik Bagdasarian. I can't say that shit. Why the Caucasus have to have these names? It's always like a ridiculous. It's either a Medov or a Sarian or a fucking Chamoyev or some crazy shit that you can't pronounce. And then they tell you how it's said, and you're like, no, negative. That is not how that shit is said. I don't care what you have to say, bro. But he's fighting out of Igor MMA, so Joshua is going to be fighting in front of the home crowd. It makes a big difference. Ricardo Ramos, on the other hand, phenomenal fighter. Actually, Joshua has a 1-inch reach advantage. He is 1 year older. Believe it or not, in terms of statistics, being the older fighter typically means that you lose the fight because older fighters typically lose more. But, a 1 year age difference isn't a huge gap. So I'm going to go with the Aussie on this one. I think Joshua is going to be able to take it. He's in his hometown. And when you fight at home, again, I do think that it gives you like that extra mana, that extra energy to really pull from. And, the crowd's always going to be with you. So that's going to be a dope-ass fight. And then right after him, another Australian, and he's going to be the main event of the prelims. He's the feature bout, Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. Walter Walker is taller by 3 inches. He is 1 year younger, and it looks like he has a 3.5-inch reach advantage. However, and he's got a 25-pound weight advantage. Holy fuck, that's big. But I do think that Junior Tafa can pull this off as long as the fight stays standing. As we saw in his last fight, the minute you take him to the ground, he just kind of lays there and tries to hit you, but he doesn't really have much of a ground game, which is really fucking tragic. You would think that, they have so many great fighters over in Australia and a lot of guys with really strong wrestling, but Junior Tafa is going to have to go against a tall order and Walter Walker. I do think he gets this win standing up. So long as he stays standing, I think between the second round, he can probably take him out. If it goes 3 rounds, I think he may win by the decision, but it has to stay standing no matter what. So I'm going to go with Junior Tafa on that one. I'm hoping he gets, especially again, home crowd advantage. When you're home, it does something different to a lot of fighters. Some guys, it's a lot of pressure, and some fighters, it just makes them really happy. But let's switch gears to the main card, starting at 10 p.m. All right, UFC 305 main card. Jing Liang versus Carlos Prates. Really close record, the two of them. There's only 2 fight difference. In terms of size, Li Jingliang is 6 years older. That doesn't help him. He's an inch shorter, and Carlos Prates has a 6.5 inch reach advantage. That's a tough fight. But Lee does have a lot of experience and against some pretty high caliber fighters that he's fought in the past, and some fighters that if their careers had gone the right way, probably would have ended up in the UFC. It's easy to say like, oh, the regional guys are not as good, but it's different when you stand in front of one of those guys and you find out, oh, this is a bad motherfucker. He just didn't make it because the competition is really heavy. But I'm gonna go with Carlos Prates on this one. Something tells me Lee is gonna win this one, but he's had an impressive showing. But that there's a lot of things going against him. The weight is the same, but the length, 6.5 inches is a lot of reach to cover, so he's got to take him to the ground and beat him there. I'm gonna go with Carlos. I don't know what it is. Something's telling me he might take the W. But it's really, again, a pick'em, which I really like. This card has a lot of pick'em fights. It's really a 50-50. You don't really know what the fuck's going to happen. The betting odds are going to be fucking crazy. It's going to be great. The next fight, of course, we're excited to see Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck looked good in his last fight. Very crisp. But I got to go with my boy Bam Bam Tuivasa. I want to see the Shui after he wins. Also, he's home in Australia, and I think he lost last time he was in Australia. I want to say he won, but I think he lost. So Bam Bam Tuivasa has also been training with the UFC light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. And, Poatan is one of those guys that elevates everyone in the room with him. And he's a fucking dog of a human being. The only guy to beat him in the UFC is fighting in the main event. So that goes to tell you how much of a dog that fucking guy is. But I'm going to go with Bam Bam Tuivasa. Don't think it's going to be an easy fight, and I think it takes him 2 rounds to get it done. I think late in the second he could take that one, because Jairzinho does have a history of getting tired between the second and third round and just being gassed, because he throws really heavy strikes. He's a really good fighter and a great striker. But we'll have to see what he brings to the table in this event. I also don't know who he trains with. I don't actually know. Let me check. Let's check. Let's figure it out. I got a computer in front of me. So Jairzinho Rosenstruck is from Suriname, and he won his last fight, yes, against Shamil Gaziev. Looked good. KO in round 4. Sheesh. So he was a main event. Biggie Boy. It doesn't say what team he's with. Let me check. Who's he with? He's got his own teams. It's called Team Biggie Boy, but I'm Riddler's Gym. They stopped by there. I don't see his corner. I wish I knew. That'd be a really good idea to fucking show that from time to time, so we can know who's in his corner and what they're working on. Won his last fight after a really tough 2023. He lost to Jonathan Almeida, lost to Alexander Volkov in 2022, but then beat Chris Daukaus. So now he's been like on and off, winning, lose, win, lose, win, lose. But for this one, he is 5 years older, and he has a 3-inch reach advantage, but he's also coming in about 18 pounds lighter. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to my original assessment. I'm gonna go with Bam Bam Tuivasa. He can't lose this fight. It could be the end of his career. So I think that extra pressure is definitely gonna help him. Gonna go with Bam Bam. I'm gonna say round 2 TKO, maybe KO. Next fight is really hard. This is another one. Again, Dana really did good with this fucking fight card, and Hunter Campbell and Shelby as well. They all did really good with this fucking card, because it's Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Let's see the tail of the tape. It looks like Dan Hooker's a year older. He's 6 feet fucking tall for lightweight. Meanwhile, Mateusz is about my height, 5 foot 8 inches. They fight at 55, and Mateusz will have a disadvantage 4.5 inches in reach. Dan Hooker's a big fucking body, man, and that's a great striker. But Mateusz has a really good ground game, so I think the name of the game for him is going to be to mix up his strikes, because he does have good striking, and take him down and beat the fuck out of him on the ground and ground and pound him. Again, home field advantage to Dan Hooker. He's back in Australia. This is going to be really fucking hard. This is a 50-50. I might think Mateusz might be coming in as the underdog because of how good Dan Hooker has been looking his last few fights and kind of fucking demon he's been in his last few fights. So I'm going to give this fight to Mateusz Gamrot. He's going to be the underdog if he's already, in the betting odds as the underdog. I'm going to go with Mateusz Gamrot on this one again. Super biased. Killcliff will always be the team that we fuck with and represent. We love those guys. They're awesome. So with that, I'm going to go with Mateusz Gamrot on this one, but it is going to be a close fight. I don't think this is going to be one that everyone's going to be able to predict 100%. I say he gets it done by submission late in round 3 or early in round 3, which is really hard to do because you're slippery by then, but I think he can do it. And then we go into our co-main event is Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. This is New Zealand versus Australia, so the Kiwis versus the Aussies. Fuck, this is hard too. Like, man, they really made it difficult. These odds makers have to be shit in the bed right now. Because they're not going to get it all right. There's no way. Kai Kara-France, 2 years the elder, 4 inches shorter, but has an inch in reach advantage. That's an interesting one. All right, so it's like a 2-3 inch deficit. We'll see how that one goes for him. 24-11 versus 12-2, but Usyk has been fighting significantly tough opponents. He's only lost to the world champion Pantoja and one other guy that he fought on short notice. Fuck, again, the youth and the height are definitely in his advantage. I'm gonna go with Kai Kara-France. You know, that's a lot of experience. It's 35 fights, 36 technically with the 1 no contest. Versus 14, but Steve Usyk is built different, so this is going to be a tough one to pick him again. I'm going to go with Kai Kara-France, home field advantage as well. Well, home field advantage would be Steve Usyk, excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France, I say, gets it done in the second round. I think a lot of second round finishes are going to happen. There might be 1 or 2 that get done in the first. And then, of course, the main event, Dricus Du Plesis versus Isreal Adesanya, the StyleBender. If you follow his Instagram and his YouTube, you should definitely follow his YouTube channel. StyleBender is a dope-ass YouTube channel. And David Blackmoto, the undisputed featherweight champion of the world, he's on there too. So if you want to see more of David. But on all seriousness, Dricus' training is weird. Like, he's got a fucking coach that, like, uses a cattle rod and pokes them in their feet when they fuck up in training. Yeah, make of that whatever the fuck you want. You do that shit to me, I'm getting up and beating you with the fucking cattle rod. So that's the kind of training he does. There's that whole South Africa thing where he's trying to be like, I'm the real African champion. I think he's a little deaf tone. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a little tone deafness here. Tone deaf? Deaf tone? Whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean. You know, I think he's tone deaf. Because how could you say some shit like that when there have been 3 other world champions from Cameroon, 2 from Nigeria, and they won the world title, and they're the real Africans that started this whole trend of African champions. You know, they were the 3 kings, and to the point that they were going to do an Africa card because of these 3 guys. So for Dricus to come out and say some shit like that, I don't know. You know. Also, South Africa, apartheid, Nelson Mandela. Like, there's a lot of history there that I don't think really went through his mind before he said that dumb shit. But hopefully he understands that, like, it doesn't look good. And I know a lot of the people that support Dricus are like, oh, I don't think he meant it that way. But again, it comes off as tone deaf. Like, you said some shit that you had no reason to say out loud. It wasn't a good idea for you. But c'est la vie. That being the point, I do think Izzy beats Dricus. If we look at the numbers, Izzy is 5 years older, so that's a huge disadvantage. But he's 2 inches taller. He's got 4 inches in reach advantage. But he's also got a ton more experience at the UFC level. Dricus has a good amount of experience, so he's got 23 fights. He has 27 professional MMA fights. Excuse me, MMA fights. Remember that. Overall, Izzy has way more fights than Dricus by, like, quite a few, actually. Dricus has a good amount. He started competing at 15. I think he has, like, 20, maybe 30 kickboxing fights in his record, but at the amateur level, not at the pros. And Izzy has a lot of pro, like over 100 professional fights. So experience helps. Izzy is older. That's a big disadvantage by 5 years, but the 2 inches in height and the 4 inches in reach, you know, that's significant. Also, we got to remember the last time that Izzy fought, he fought Sean Strickland and was completely fucking gassed, was just exhausted by then. And had even stated that, I believe he said that he was like fighting, just burning the candle at both ends. And if y'all forget, you know, Izzy fought 9 times in 3 years. So make of that what you will, because I can't be mad at a guy who is a reigning, defending champion and consistently competes. Again, this is again a pick'em fight because Dricus has looked really good lately. He's got his nose fixed. He had a deviated septum. Couldn't really breathe out of his nose. Something like he was like 90% oxygen depletion. Like, there's no fucking way. Shut up. You'd be fucking unconscious. But I do think that it was hard, and you know, try fighting without being able to breathe through your nose. It's very difficult. So I'm gonna go with Izzy in this one. I do think that the world title doesn't mean as much to him as whooping Dricus' ass. A lot of people saw the press conference recently where he was crying, he was in tears. But I also saw that a lot of people said that usually when Izzy's charged up, when he's like really emotional, he tends to fight better. It's the same thing he did with the Pereira fight where he knocked Alex out, and he's the only one. That's aged like fine wine. He's the only guy in the UFC to knock out Alex Pereira and beat him definitively. So, and look who he's defeated. Look at how fucking much of a monster Alex Pereira is. What he did to Jamal Hill made it look easy. What he did to Yuri twice made it look easy. You know, he's that guy who could potentially be a GOAT if he continues down this path for the next 2 or 3 years, you know. He's sadly at the end of his career. We got to be honest, he's 37 years old. Izzy also is in the last, like, 5 years of his career as well. So we're trying to get the most out of that. Kamaru's coming back for the world title fight. So, you know, it's all culminating into that time where you're starting to feel like, wow, I've seen, well, I started watching mixed martial arts in the early 2000s. So I've seen about 2 or 3 generations worth of MMA fighters kind of go through those elevated ranks, the world champions, and the changing of the guard consistently over that time. So, man, it's going to be tough. But overall, 305 is going to be a jam-packed fucking card. I don't think there's going to be a boring fight on the card, to be honest with you. I think this is one of those cards that kind of surprises us because we don't think it's got a lot of star power. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's in your fucking face. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Comment down below who you think is going to win, who you got going into these cards. Any predictions that you make, you know, maybe some crazy-ass ones like, oh, I think this jiu-jitsu player is going to actually knock this person out. They've been working on their striking. I'd love to hear the shit that you guys got to say. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because when you do, it helps the channel. Believe it or not, you know, that's the biggest issue that we have as YouTubers, as podcasters. You know, the more people that follow us, the more people that do that, it gives us a lot of buying power, which allows us to then get those ad reads, which gets us paid. Again, the page isn't monetized yet. I've been doing this for a while. I'd like to get it monetized, and I'm going to keep it a buck. But the best way to do it is to subscribe. It is free. It is free for you to comment. It's free for you to like. It's free for you to subscribe. And it helps the algorithm out. It helps us out. So if you want to see more content, fight related, I'm going to be doing more interviews. I can't say who yet because I don't want to jinx it. But I've got a current MMA fighter from the UFC. He's coming on. I've got a brown belt BJJ who is phenomenal. It's not just how good she is at jiu-jitsu. It's also the fact that she's super good at jiu-jitsu, very funny. And you guys will probably like the fact that she's completely bad. She is a bad woman. Like, she's just fine as hell. So I think you guys will enjoy that part of the interview, seeing a very beautiful woman who's also going to have her own podcast. So I think we're going to shout it out as well. And her OnlyFans. We'll put that in the link in the description. Any other things you want to talk about, comment down below. Go into our description. We have the links to our affiliate links. If you purchase anything, if you buy anything, a percentage of the proceeds go to us here at the podcast. Helps us to get more equipment. I'm actually going to do a few videos on some of the equipment that we use, and a video on how I almost quit YouTube. So for those of you who are looking to get into the podcast space and looking to use YouTube as a vehicle, definitely going to look out for that video as it comes out. Aside from that, don't really have anything else to talk about. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Helps us out a lot. What the fuck was that? And check out the Santa Bull merch. We got the affiliate link. You use the promo code GOTDAM, GOTDAM at checkout. Gives you 20% off. And if you're thinking about starting a pod, like I said, I'm going to be speaking about, you know, how I would have went about it a little differently and spent a little less money. But overall, I do hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your curiosity. Make sure you watch these fucking fights. Oh, and the Craig Jones Invitational is today at 6 p.m. Go on B Team Jiu-Jitsu's live. It's there. It's fucking awesome. It's free. This is the highest quality jiu-jitsu. This is $1 million for the winner. If you've never watched BJJ before and you want to see guys really go after it and girls go after it, go ahead and watch it. Also, if you like people who are petty, Craig Jones is paying everyone who's competing $10,001. The winner gets $1 million a piece in each weight class. But it's $10,001 because the winner of ADCC, which is this weekend as well, only wins $10,000. Meaning, if you win first place at ADCC, yeah, it's prestigious or whatever, but you only get $10,000. If you show up and you lose, you don't get anything. If you go to the Craig Jones Invitational, you show up, it's $10,001. That's how petty Craig is, and that's how I love about it. He's also going to be doing a match against Gabby Garcia. If you've never seen Gabby Garcia, Google her. She's fucking amazing athlete. She's huge as fuck, and she's tough. And Craig is constantly doing shit like, he tattooed her name on his ass. So if you're into weird, crazy, funny shit like that, make sure you tune into CJI. It's going on today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be live in a few minutes on YouTube. Actually, we're going to have about 30 minutes after this pod. But go ahead and make sure to run on over as fast as possible. Go see CGI. Subscribe to the goddamn podcast. Subscribe to our Instagram if you want to see more reels, more stuff, more shorts, whatever the fuck you want to see. And follow us on Spotify. If you like Spotify, that's where you listen to your podcast. If that's where you're listening to us now, make sure to follow. We have a lot more content coming in the coming months. Super stoked about the few UFC fighters that I was able to get. You know, I do this so that you guys can hear these guys talk, and for all those who want to fight or want to understand the fight game, I think this is going to be a great venture for you. So make sure to subscribe, follow, do all the things. You know how the socials work. Hit the button that you know you got to hit. It helps us out a lot. It makes us, you know, it helps us make money. Excuse me. And it does make us some money, actually, because once it's monetized, you view it and we get paid. It's what ad dollars are, and it helps with the algorithm. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your curiosity, and stay blessed. Keep your peace. Adios. Shoo shoo.